Hey everyone, this is Carol Foderick from the Carol Foderick Real Estate Group. This is episode 7. We were unsure. We had to count backwards. This is episode 7 of The Best Thing About Real Estate Is. And today we are talking about a highly controversial topic. We're going to try not to get ourselves canceled. Dudes buying dwellings. So we have the 2 dudes from our team.
So Dushan, Lazarevic.
And
Scott Reiart.
I love this. What is this? Is this a Bills thing? Or no, it's just like peace out.
Brother.
Okay. So in order to populate this topic, I needed 2 guys from our team. And so
like Japanese schoolgirls do this a lot in their photos.
Oh, is that also true? The Japanese schoolgirls do this? I don't know. Anyway, so somebody will comment on that right now. I promise you, Dushan.
I don't identify as male though. Is that a problem for this?
That's a whole other, yes, we will get canceled for that. So first of all, sure. So the first thing I want to do is address the fact that a tragedy has occurred. And so we are filming this at the end of January. And for a lot of people, you'll be listening to this later in the year, but this is still very fresh in our minds. So we have here one of the OG Bills Mafia. And I want to just address the fact that we have just had a devastating loss. How are you feeling about that, Scott? Because there's a lot of people that are going to be watching this or listening to this, and they're going to feel the way you feel. So as a dude,
it's one of those things where, it's like Leaf fans. It's that same dumb thing where every year you kind of expect a different result. You think this is the year, and then every year it just ends up the same. And then you say at the end of the year, well, I'm not going to do it again next year. And then as soon as the season starts again, you're right there. So
do you say that at the end of last season? Did you say I'm not doing this again this year? And then you did?
But
yeah, but unless you're
Kansas
City Chiefs fan, and apparently every year you go to the Super Bowl, so no comment, right? Oh,
that's enough.
Too soon. Okay, so Scott, I have something for you here, and so I wanted to give this to you. So first of all, you post a lot of content about your love for the Bills, and in your last piece of content, you drank some salad dressing. Can you just walk me through what that was? And there was discussion about ranch versus blue cheese. So what is that?
Right. So in Canada, we're much more with your chicken wings. Blue cheese.
Okay.
But in the States, particularly the Buffalo area, it's very much a debate between blue cheese or ranch dressing. I think you can kind of go 50% down the middle, what they prefer. I am a blue cheese person.
You are a blue cheese person.
Because we had recently moved, all that was in the fridge was ranch.
So you sucked back some ranch.
I just needed content,
I'm happy to have, I'm going to leave this right here on the table.
I would move to get it, but I finally got in a comfortable spot.
And you have to drink it.
That's for you.
You have to finish the whole bottle by the time we're done.
Are you a football fan, Dushan?
I'll jump on the bandwagon the weekend of the Super Bowl.
100% for me. 100%. That's probably the first football game I've ever watched. And I have to say I was a little devastated. So as well too, on behalf of everybody that I knew really cared. So
I'm way too ADD to sit and watch hours of games.
Complicated, and their rules are complicated. Okay, so let's get on to it, guys. So again, my condolences to all the Bills Mafia out there. Hopefully next year is the year.
Yes.
All right. So we're talking about dudes buying dwellings. So we have 2 dudes. And I want to say, first of all, you're not the only 2 dudes on the team. We do have a strong male representation now, but for a lot of years, the Carol Foderick Real Estate Group was almost exclusively female, or was exclusively female. So your perspective is really valued here, and no pressure or anything, but now you're speaking on behalf of all men everywhere. So don't blow it.
But so what's ironic is people may not know, but when Carol first came, we shared and not the same office space,
that's right.
But it was just you and
our offices were adjacent.
One other woman at the time.
Yeah.
And the team I was on was an
all
male team.
Yeah,
so
all guys.
It's kind of a ironic twist that
I'm still thinking about the dude thing. My daughter has started to call me dude all the time. I said, you got to stop doing it. It's like, dude, dad. And she tries to correct herself.
It's
so
now
I'm dude dad.
Oh.
Dude dad.
Is that a little bit heartbreaking because your daughter's getting older and now like you're going into that in-between stage?
A little bit.
Yeah.
That's the lingo that bugs
That's
me.
a little bit heartbreaking. Yeah. Next episode, we're going to talk about who's your favorite child. We'll come back to that. So, all right. So we're going to make some statements. So today we're going to talk about whether men and women buy homes differently. So highly controversial topic. And then we're going to talk about how single men versus married men buy homes. So lots to unpack with this. So full disclosure, today's insights, and I'm going to read some statements and we're going to say whether or not we agree or disagree with them. Today's insights are drawn from a mix of real estate folklore, which I think is the most unscientific thing you can possibly have, but anecdotal evidence, consumer behavior research, and industry studies. So I'm going to read some statements. We are going to determine whether or not we agree with this or we disagree with this. So women tend to, true or false, or agree or disagree, women tend to be more detail oriented and consider emotional connections, while men are often more goal oriented and focused on function, investment potential, and efficiency. Is that a true statement, or is that a statement that is written by somebody who doesn't know what they're talking about? Nobody wants to dive in on the first. Yeah. Dushan, what's your thoughts? So women tend to be more detail oriented and consider emotional connections in a real estate context.
So I think it's definitely true that women are more drawn towards the aesthetic, and yeah, the kind of functionality and the, I wouldn't say details, but when we stage a home, you could probably, we could probably keep selling homes if it was just a market of just men and not have to stage them.
Okay, so you think men care less about the overall presentation of like the thing on the table? Like, does this thing appeal to you here? Not the ranch, but the the thing.
I mean, it doesn't appeal or not appeal to me. It's
you're not paying attention. There. It's just there.
I think it's cool.
You think it's cool. So you are perhaps...
I couldn't tell you where that came from or anything like that. But
Elena, our stager, bought it. I'm not sure what it is supposed to be, but so appeals to Scott. He might walk in and be like, okay, that's kind of cool. And Dushan is like, not, I couldn't care if it was there or not there. Like, you're not buying the house based on the aesthetics.
Yeah, definitely.
But your wife might?
Yeah, for sure. I think women in general, when they walk into a home, they'll definitely put more emphasis on, do I see myself living here? How comfortable I am in this space? And it definitely helps to have a nicely staged, comfortable space to show, versus men that might be just running down to the basement, looking at the mechanicals and the storage room and the electrical box. I think that's pretty ubiquitous. Now, obviously, it doesn't apply to every single situation. There's outliers for everything, but overall, I think that's kind of my gut feel or like the consensus, that there's definitely aesthetics play a big role. And
appealing to women versus men.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay, Scott, what do you think? Or do women tend to be more detail oriented and consider emotional connection?
I don't know. I'll just talk from a personal experience. My wife Emily and I have purchased 4 properties together now. And in each instance, she just said to me, "We're going to buy this place." So I said, "Okay, we are." And that was that.
Emily's watching. Emily's like, "That's right. That's how it went." It's exactly.
So I know you asked for more details, but I just think my experience has been the woman's definitely driving the car when it comes to the real estate purchases.
And is anybody really focused on efficiency of a home? Is it a man or is it a male-female thing? Like, is anybody talking about efficiency? Like, I really like the school district is terrible and it's overpriced, but man, this sure is efficient. Like, the windows have a great seal. Like, is anybody focused on efficiency or do we care?
Almost never for me. No.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think because I
think what you said, especially with families, like school district, neighborhood feel is far more important than
we'll come back to that.
Whether the windows have been glazed or whatever the term is.
Whatever the term is. Yeah, I would agree with you. So it's really interesting, your perspective, Dushan, because I would say I'm the exact opposite. When I walk into a house, I want to know square footage, lot size. I want to know what the neighborhood comparables are. I want to know what capital cost appreciation has been for that neighborhood. I'm not an aesthetic person at all, but I don't know if that's a female male thing or if that's just an aesthetic versus pragmatic. I tend to be much more numbers based, but it's interesting. I would say, although my husband Regan is not particularly aesthetic either, he would be much more, like inclined to like comment on like, oh, this is a great backyard, or, I really couldn't care less. I'm definitely more numbers and detail driven. So
going back a few years, I had a guy buy a house. I'm certain to this day it was based on the amount of like storage space, shelving, and these little nooks, and how much. I mean, the house had a lot of it.
How much stuff did he have? Like, does he have like a Hummel collection or something? And he was like, I gotta figure out how to store.
So he wasn't a single guy, but he came to see the house by himself,
okay.
And he was just obsessed about the amount of storage space that was kind of built into the place. And I'm pretty sure he bought the house.
Just
I don't think his wife even saw it.
Oh my goodness! Should men
pretty shortly after they had to sell the place and move to a better area. But
but together or separately? That would be my question.
No,
you bought this house without even asking?
It was a couple, but I don't think she ever saw the house. So he was just totally obsessed with like the amount of kind of cupboards and the store. I'm like, what are you storing? What are you like? I don't understand. That was the only comment he had, and he basically he put an offer in a house. I'm pretty sure based on kind of the amount of storage.
It's weird.
And built-in cabinetry.
I'm calling it, Dushan. That's weird. Like, how much storage do you like? Sure, storage is great, but I can't say that I've ever noticed to be the driving factor. Okay, so you bring up a really good point. Should men be allowed to buy houses without a permission note from their wives, or even look at houses? I think we can all agree that if two people are buying a home together and it's going to be where they live, that they should, it should be a place that, it sparks joy and is financially attainable for both of them. It shouldn't be one person making the decisions, whether it's the man or the woman. But is there an imbalance that sometimes goes on in the home buying purchase where one person, whether it's male or female, tend to be the driver because perhaps they're the higher income earner, they are the financial decision maker for the family? You kind of joked about it a little bit, but is there always consensus when you're working with a buyer client, or do you often kind of notice that one person is the decision maker, man or woman?
I mean, I think I could speak to that. I think culturally can be different elements to it. I find in certain cultures, depending on who you're working with, the male can be much more the decision maker. So I think that is definitely a factor.
Or vice versa,
Or vice versa, 100%, yeah.
I totally disagree. We all know who wears the pants most of the time.
Is that, that's right. Happy wife, happy life, guys. You're both married men. Let me just get that off. Like, we'll just put that out there.
I don't wear a ring, but I am.
You are married. Yeah, that's true. And we got to meet Emily because Emily is also an agent on our team. So speak to that for a minute. So you've got two industry experts on the same team, or in the same family, husband and wife. Whose professional opinion do you default to in that circumstance? Because you're both agents, you're both like long-time industry professionals, top producing agents. Whose opinion do you consider more?
I think actually we're a pretty good team when it comes to that respect. So, if there was a period of time where we were doing a team, just the two of us, and we definitely tried to pair each other up personality-wise, depending on who the other person is that we were working with or were hoping to work with. So that was part of it. But I just think lately with Emily, in the role, she's been doing so many CMAs and, working on so many listings with you that I'm definitely now, I'm saying to her, I've done my analysis. This is what I think it's worth. But
what do you think?
Please, very much, you look at it too and tell me. So I'm not moving forward now without getting her opinion as well.
Dushan, would you buy a house without having your wife give you the thumbs up, the seal of approval?
Absolutely not. So it's funny. I'll go. So my when I bought my first house, I was single, but I wasn't married.
Yep.
It was a cute little house in East York, and they had this big pool in the backyard. I thought it was the greatest thing ever.
You were a single dude and you bought a house in East York with a pool because you were going to throw like pool parties?
Oh, the pool parties were thrown.
Oh, you did
That's all this house was, just pool party during the warm months. And then I bought a new pool heater so we could extend this season. It just turned into this ridiculous
I'm sure the neighbors loved that. That was so great. They were so excited.
No. The guy neighbors were thrilled. The wives of the neighbors were not
less
so
thrilled.
Much.
Less thrilled.
But yeah, it just turned into this like revolving pool party that there was like at some point I think people just show up with cases of beer and I'd still be sleeping and they would just get in there.
That's epic. That's like Van Wilder stuff, right?
This went on for a couple years and then
you met your wife and she moved in and put a stop to all of this.
I did not meet my wife at the pool party. Anyway, so I'm like, this is a great house. We could stay in. It's like, no freaking way. Where it was a 1.5 with dormers. So you had those, like the ceiling that's the ceiling that was kind of cutting into the windows are cutting into the ceiling, and so functionality wise, anyways, the pool was like, no, there's no way we're gonna have kids drowning in a pool. This is not safe. Anyways, we sold the house pretty quickly after we got together.
Pretty close thereafter, yeah.
So yeah, those single guys might have different priorities.
We're going to come back to that because I also so I was a homeowner when I met my husband Regan. I lived in the West End. He lived in the East End. It made more sense for us to move into his home geographically, and so kept mine, rented it out, and we still own it, but and we still live in the house that Regan owned at that time. We've done a renovation to it, obviously, but yeah, bachelors definitely live in houses differently than married guys. When I met Regan, he had a television on top of the old television that no longer worked, and the old television was a television stand, and he had like 4 plates, 4 knives, 4 forks. It was pretty rough. And he had one, those like IKEA chairs that like you can sit in front of your television that's sitting on the ground. And they're like those leather IKEA chairs, and they kind of like have that bounce to them. He just had 2 of those, and that was it. And the only other piece of furniture he owned was like this beautiful white corduroy couch. And it was a beautiful piece of furniture. And there's nothing else to comment on the house. So I was like, Regan, that's a beautiful couch. Like, it looks really nice in this room. And he's like, oh yeah, my old girlfriend and I picked it out so we could cuddle together when we watched movies. And I was like,
couch burning party.
That literally, we gave it away like a year later. I was like, yeah, that's not going to be part of our story. Okay. So
I was just going to say, I think guys can get creative too with what they have. 2 of my best friends went to university in Western, and they stayed at the dorm called the Zoo, Soggy Maitland. It's notorious for being like the biggest party dorm going. And I remember going, so they stayed in this like little tiny room. They had a bed
comment on this clip if you have interacted with this dorm. I'm really curious to hear what this
bed on each side.
I've interacted with that dorm.
Oh my God. Okay. No, this is how we get ourselves canceled. Okay, go ahead.
And when I went to visit them, they'd been there about a month, and they actually made like a little table and like 2 chairs out of empty beer cases. So
wow, that's creative. Engineering students at their finest. That's exciting. So let me ask you a question. So moving on to our next statement, women prioritize layout aesthetics and lifestyle fit. We talked a little bit about that. There may be some greater awareness around the aesthetic part of it, but I think we've agreed that both men and women can appreciate like a well-built, well-presented house. Men focus, and this is where I need your opinion as the dudes, men focus on square footage, home office space, garages, and long-term value. I feel like this is just a bombshell because it is really characterizing dudes in a way. So let me ask you a question. The idea of like man caves, does that resonate with either of you guys? Do either of you go home and be like, man, I sure wish I had a man cave?
Yes.
Yes?
So at my parents' house, I moved to the basement basically as soon as they allowed me to.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, those sort of half finished basements. It's got the faux wood paneling on the wall. Yep. So it's like the front part, there was a TV room. It was kind of finished. And then in the back, it was unfinished. So you had the concrete floor. There was a little sink, a toilet. And for me, that was like...
And that was it. And you aspire to go back there again. You're like, man, I really just want like a partially unfinished basement with a sink and a toilet like that. You're excited about that idea?
I worked on my computer 4 hours down there yesterday. So
you're still visiting the man cave. I love it. You're going back to your teenage man cave. Yeah. Dushan, for you, or you're like, I gotta get a man cave going somewhere in my house. Do you have one?
I want to know if that basement had the 70s wood paneling.
That
bar with the mirror in the back.
Oh yeah,
no, but it has the full on. That wood paneling, yeah.
Man caves, is that a thing like that appeals to all men? Do all men be like, man, I really wish I had like a golf simulator in this house?
There's definitely appeal to it. I think once you have kids, those man caves turn into kids' playground pretty quickly. It's hard to, depends, I guess, the size of the house that you have, but it's hard to justify maintaining a
space just for one member of the family.
Yeah. So yeah, that tends to the kids' needs tend to bleed into and take that space over.
Yeah. Do you have a space like that's been taken over by your children's stuff in your house?
It's the kind of basement.
The basement. Yeah. You got the devil's carpet. What do they call that? Lego is the devil's carpet. Like, because you can't walk across a floor without getting like.
There's been some toes stubbed and some. Yeah. What was that? The cat I don't know if you remember those. There's not a xylophone, but like a toddler piano thing that looks like a cat.
Oh God, that sounds like something out of a horror movie.
Like 2 years back, they were really popular. So if you leave it on, so the kids can just play piano, whatever. I mean, just press the keys. But if you leave it on, it'll just meow, but it'll meow in this like weird intervals of like 20 minutes or half an hour. So if, like if your kids go to bed, you go back downstairs and all you hear this creepy like, meow. And you're like, what?
I love it.
It took me, I don't know, it took me like months to figure out it was the piano.
That's so that is like my worst nightmare. You're showing a house and like some random cat toy goes off and somebody's like, oh my God, there's a cat stuck in the wall somewhere. And that's I can imagine. So when you guys are showing houses to other guys, do you talk about man cave potential? You were like, oh, you could have a real man cave down there. You got to kind of like play that one by ear and sort of feel it out.
Well, yeah. I mean, some of my favorite homes, and I think you said we have one coming out next week, so you can plug it, are those Guildwood 60s built homes.
Yeah.
Where in the basement, they have like proper bar.
So this is like all mid-century construction. So Scarborough,
I sold one that had a sauna. So it had the proper bar, the sauna, the rec room. Like, to me, that's just like, that's my dream basement.
That is your dream basement?
If anyone's like on my same vibe, like I'm pushing that hard.
So Regan and I bought a house years ago in South Scarborough, and it's a rental, and the basement had an open fire pit in it with a grill.
They always
have
fireplaces. They always have fireplaces
too. And it had a chimney that we found out later
What?
didn't go anywhere. It just was charring the underside of the main floor. But that aside, it had one of those crazy bars, and then it had a train that went all the way around through all of the rooms in the basement. It had like an elevated train track, and we joked about it. It was like what went on here? Like in 1965, like all the adults just sent the kids out to play in the streets, and then they went down and got rocked in their basement on rum and cokes and like were hibachiing things and like turning the train
and then
on.
Everyone put their keys in the bowl, and then they did the key swap at the end of the night.
What's the key swap? I don't know what that is.
You never heard of that?
No, I've never. Is this like a weird
swing party?
Oh,
they all
God.
put their keys in the.
Oh, that's awful. Oh no, I choose not to think about that. When I'm now sitting with an 85-year-old client who's selling their home that they've been in since 1950, I don't want to think about any of the swinger stuff that went on in that house at all. In fact,
Don Draper territory where
Don Draper.
Waiting.
Yeah. I always joke that I know. Yeah.
They're like sick. That's exactly
that's true. And not just, I want to be clear, not just here in the East End. So all mid-century construction, a lot of them, for the first time, the construction focused on the fact that you could have these amazing basement spaces. Because before that, the generation of homes that was built before that, the only thing you would use your unfinished basement for was like hanging out your laundry in the winter, storing vegetables, and the mechanicals of the house. So it was utility space. And then they were like, we've got all this, amazing square footage that we could turn into something. And it's the first time we see finished basements in the 1950s. And you're right. There was a lot of partying that went on in the basements. So you're not selling man caves per se. Do you think there are features that men tend to focus on when you're looking at houses?
Garages, I'd say.
Garages?
I would agree. Yeah.
If there's a workshop, maybe part of the garage is turned into a workshop. That appeals probably to the handyman and all of us.
Have either of you built a birdhouse in your lives? Are you going home and building things in workshops?
I've never done woodworking once in my life. Well, maybe in the grade 8 shop class. Since then, no.
So you're not like, got to get me a house with a wood shop so I can build some birdhouses.
A garage, like it's nice, but I'm not like those dudes that are like
big into the garages.
Like the garage is like their whole life type of thing.
What if I went to your house right now, Dushan, and opened the garage door? What would I find?
You would find
that cat toy, that thing. Is it there just meowing to nobody?
You'd find a workshop with probably 80% of tools that don't get used.
Okay.
I did get into woodworking at one point, but it wasn't like the fine cabinetry.
I was going to ask if you went to biscuit joiner or not.
No,
the contractors listening to this will know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, the dovetail joint. No, I jumped on the bandwagon of the Live Edge.
Do you have Live Edge furniture in your home that you have crafted yourself, Dushan?
I did. Yeah, I made like the dining table that's now turned into like an office table. But that's all just me getting a slab from some guy,
and
near Guelph, and then just sanding it and doing stuff. And then I did a bunch of those stump things. So where my wife is like, stop with the fucking stumps. I can swear.
True, you can swear. It's okay.
It's like the house is starting to look like a barn because we have, all these like stump tables.
So you got into cabinet you got into cabinet making for a little while. Let me just ask you an honest question. Woodworking. Yeah. Okay. Was the house with the shelves your house that we talked about at the top of this? Was that your house? Did you have shelves everywhere? It had a pool in the backyard and that's why the guy bought it?
No.
And you were like, oh, you could have amazing pool parties. Chicks are going to come over. You're going to marry one of them. It's going to be great.
3 different houses.
3 different houses. All right.
Yeah, come on over. We'll do some woodworking and cool off in a pool.
Said nobody ever. Have you ever been invited over to another guy's house? Like, come over, check out my wood shop. We're going to like sand some live edge furniture today.
No, never.
No?
Yeah.
I'd come over to your
that
pool,
is happening.
but not for woodworking.
Yeah, you know what? Like back to these. My favorite homes are those the sprawling Scarborough bungalow, kind of like one
ranch bungalows,
the ranch bungalows. What I never understood, like even 50s, 60s, 70s, like what with the bar in a basement, like what are these guys doing in the bar? Like I understand, like why don't you just go upstairs and drink or drink in a backyard? Like who are these?
I think that you invited all of the other people over, but I think you have to put it into context, right? Like Dushan, you make a really excellent point. Like you have to think about the demographics. So if the average age of a first-time buyer, and I actually just saw this statistic this morning, the average age of a first-time buyer in 1950 was 23 years old. And so it's a true statement that generation that we now refer to as like the silent generation, they were getting married and having kids a lot younger. So think about the fact that like they were starting families, they had houses earlier, but they're still 23, 24 years old. And what did we all do when we were 23 and 24 years old? We went places and got drank.
Right?
Well, I don't know about that.
That maybe came later.
But it's like, but no, it's a true statement. Like it's still like it was like we now think of the fact that like first time buyers, men or women, tend to be in their late 30s. So 38 is the average age of a first time buyer in Canada in the year 2024. So is it a true statement that we lived in homes differently, a generation ago or 2 generations ago, because the average age of the first time buyer was in their early 20s and maybe they had more of a capacity for, slugging back the Ryan Gingers until 2 a.m. and then wheeling it home in their Eldorado. I don't know. Like for the car people, that's probably an abomination. I don't think the Eldorados came until later.
Point.
So it's really are we living in our homes differently now, men or women, because the first time buyer age is just so much older, right? I don't know. So let's get into this single versus married people. So again, statements, these are not statements that I'm saying to be true. The question is, do you agree with it? Single men often focus on convenience, location, and investment potential. They may prioritize proximity to work, nightlife, or hobbies. They are less concerned with long-term suitability for family life. Your story about your pool would suggest that that's true. Clearly, you didn't care if your kids drowned in it. Your future kids, when you bought that house, you were not like, oh, I really love this house, but like one day I'm going to have a toddler and they could fall in. Did that cross your mind when you were buying your pool house?
Zero thoughts around toddlers drowning. Yeah.
Yeah. Scott, what do you think? Do you think that's true that single men prioritize work, nightlife, or hobbies when they're buying a house?
Yeah, for sure. Actually, I can remember clearly helping. It was a friend referred me to a single guy at the time. He's not now. He doesn't live in this particular place, but he was looking for a condo rental just for a bit. So I took him to this building on Lombard Street. Which had nice amenities, but we didn't see that first. So we went and saw the condo unit itself. I mean, it was okay. It wasn't great. He didn't seem all that excited about it. It was kind of meh. Then I'm like, well, we're just going to go up. I'll show you the rooftop pool.
The rooftop pool?
Yeah. So we go up there. We kind of get in there. It seems empty, but then all of a sudden we see there's one person. And then I swear to God, there was this one woman, like tall, blonde, Russian woman, tiny bikini, looked like Brigitte Nielsen in the Rocky IV days, like that kind of look.
How'd you know she was Russian?
And he just took one look and he's like, yeah, I'm going to take this place.
Oh my goodness.
Even though I knew that he basically hated
the
unit itself, once he saw
that was the vibe,
the woman
that he was
at the pool,
go.
That was it. That was the closer.
That's hilarious. So have you shown a house or a condo and you've walked in and it is very evident that it's a bachelor pad? And what led you to believe that? I'll go first.
I mean,
guys.
general cleanliness is typically
you think
a
so?
first
It is a true
hint for me.
statement that single dudes are less tidy or organized than dudes that are coupled
For
up.
me, yeah. for
Okay.
sure.
I think it's on the kind of extremes of that spectrum. It's either like they're really messy or they're like the American Psycho.
And they're like ultra, yeah.
Super
I'll tell you
clean.
my story. Like no questions asked, stripper pole. More than once. I would say I have probably, in 22 years of real estate, I've probably shown condos in which stripper poles have made appearances, and at least 4 of them that I can remember specifically. So stripper pole is a good indication that it might be a single dude there. Or
But how do you know it wasn't just a woman that practices the moves, right?
Isn't
You're
that
just
what all men-
assuming it's a guy, but right?
I don't think anyone was like, you know what I really got to buy myself is a stripper pole. Like, I don't think that's a thing. I think maybe if like it's a gift from a husband, but honestly, I don't think any woman is like, I got to go out and I really need to hone this skill to be a better version of myself. Like Mel Robbins is not like telling women to go out and buy stripper poles. I don't think.
Maybe it's an exercise pole. You don't know if it's stripper pole. It
No,
could be
I'm
like
pretty sure there was chairs around it, Dushan. Like it was a stripper pole. There's no question about
it's
it.
like a vertical version of a chin-up bar.
But
right?
then, okay, so let's go the extreme because you're absolutely right. It's one or the other. So you get that. You get like, you know, my husband TV on top of the other TV, like ultra bachelor pad, like 1 spoon, 1 fork. And then you get the opposite where you get like bachelors that are, you know, perhaps a little bit more mature or have more refined taste. And you get like beautifully curated bar carts with Japanese whiskey and, you know, and they're making like, they're coming home and they're drinking old fashions in their suits. Like, there's a spectrum there, I think, in terms of like the bachelorness. Is that true? That's a true statement? Like bachelor pads can look very different.
Well, I had a thought. I don't think I could probably say it though. So
okay, you know what? If you're questioning it, Scott, I'm going to say probably don't. Okay, so I want to ask.
Maybe you can. I said, I find that if it's a gay man's place, that
I have to say there are many fabulous gay men single and coupled up. Like there are. So I have seen some fabulous gay men's houses. That is an absolute.
That's what I mean.
Statement.
I think in my opinion, they tend to be a little bit more attentive to details and maintain the property better than a single guy that might be the guy I drag out of my hockey dressing room that's maintaining a place on his own. Okay,
fair enough. So this is where we get into married men, or we don't have to say married, but people who are living in matrimonial relationships or living together. Their decisions often are influenced by their spouse and are more focused on school districts, neighborhood safety, and long-term suitability. And they have a higher likelihood of compromise based on families' needs. So is that, I mean, I think, first of all, this statement has a whole bunch of like generalities in this that we really can't, we can't go into. Like we assume, this makes the assumption that if you're going to be married, that you're going to be thinking about having a family, which we know in 2025, regardless of whether what your family structure looks like and who you're getting married to or who you're cohabitating with, not everybody's path leads to children and leads to that. So I think just right out of the gate, that's probably an incorrect statement. But would you say that your priorities change when you couple up with somebody, like outside of the fact that you have to like take into consideration somebody else's desires and wants? Do you think that the way you live in the space changes when you become a couple, whether it's with another guy or another girl or whoever? If you're a man and you're, moving in with somebody, what changes and how do you interact differently with your clients who are couples versus singles?
Yeah, I think definitely. I mean, it'd be weird if it didn't change, right? Your in terms of priorities or where you're looking at. So you might be where, you might not, there's some things that you look at when you, from a buyer's perspective, I'm putting myself in a buyer's shoes now, that you might pay attention to that you're definitely not going to notice or pay attention to when you're single. From, like how safe is the neighborhood, how walkable it is, the green spaces, how good the school district is. I find in my experience, like a lot of those, I wouldn't say decisions, but a lot of those considerations are deferred to the woman or the wife.
Oh, interesting.
Not necessarily deferred, but that's who usually brings it up. It's like, oh, how safe is this neighborhood? How walkable it is? What's the closest daycare, this and that. So, to answer the second part of the question, yeah, I think you have to definitely get to know your clients well enough where you can ask those questions yourself before you show the house and be ready to answer those questions and just kind of prep yourself before you go seeing the places and keeping those things in mind. So if you're an agent, if you're single and you're an agent, that's, it's probably not going to come as naturally. Some of those questions that might pop up. So you might have to kind of do some homework, but I think if you're a parent and an agent,
it comes naturally to you. Like you're asking the
kinda
questions, like,
having
have you
those
guys thought
thoughts.
about schools? Like, yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
especially
So
if they show up and they already have kids. That's something. So you bring up something really important. Hold on one second. So I just want to touch on that before we move on, about how, women tend to bring up safety and walkability. I can tell you, like, as a woman and also as as a mom, that is something that I think maybe enters into my radar. Like, I was having this conversation with my husband the other day, and I was leaving an appointment downtown, and I said, "Oh, just stay on the phone with me until I get to my car." And he's like, "Why?" And I'm like, "Well, because I'm walking through a parking garage." And I don't know that some of the concerns that women think about are things that men think about. And so you do sell differently to them.
I would say particularly with condos, like I've worked with women just purchasing on their own. And oftentimes with them, it's important for them to buy a condo that has a 24-hour
Concierge
on-site
or a
concierge.
security
Like
guard.
that
Yeah.
can often be pretty much near their requirement list just from.
And you don't find that men ask for the same, like it's less material to them?
I probably can't even remember one or two times where if it was just a guy that like an on-site concierge was something that, really swayed the decision.
It's funny because men are statistically more likely to be the victims of violent crime. Maybe that's why. Maybe you should be more concerned, Scott. Maybe you should be aware. I'm just kidding. Okay, so we've talked about a bunch of things today, guys. Bottom line, do men buy homes differently than women? We can agree, yes, although the way that they shop for them isn't necessarily always like there is no standard peg in the standard hole here. So generally men are not all looking for the same things, but they do have different considerations than men and women. We can agree with that. And we can agree that men and women, or married men versus single men, shop for homes also differently.
Yes, I would agree.
Would agree. So men and women are different in some regards.
Yeah, I think
from a real estate perspective.
Yeah, I mean, we all sort of come into it with different lenses from a female and male perspective. That's why marriage is so beautiful, because we complement each other, right, guys?
Trying to buy some credit with your wife. If she's listening, this is episode 7. She's already turned it off.
I thought that was a rabbit, but it's a
rat.
It's
no,
cat.
It's the cat. We've got feral cats living. We're once again filming in my house. The neighbors have a feral cat colony. So we'll talk about men's lack of focus. Wasn't that one of the things? You're like, cat, interesting.
I think there's a distinction though. I think if a man is buying by himself versus a woman buying by herself, that
it's different.
But when they're buying together, I feel like they sort of meld together the priorities. I find that there's the compromise where they can get on the same page, but if it's just a man, just a woman, then the experience can be quite different.
What always surprises me is so you get into, let's say you're looking for, or you're showing a place to a couple, and then you quickly discover kind of how differently they prioritize certain things, and then they get into this kind of back and forth. I'm like, how long? Obviously, like the couple's been together for years. You think they know each other really well, and then some weird thing will kind of get him like, really? That's what you think that that's kind of important to you? Why would that be important?
Yeah, we get a very behind the scenes look at a lot of people's marriages, because people openly discuss things that they probably wouldn't with other professionals in front of us as real estate professionals. And you do see, it's a bit like seeing behind the curtain of people's marriages, and they will say things in front of their real estate professional that they wouldn't, necessarily say in front of other family members or other professionals. Like, I remember showing a house, and the husband's like, "Oh, it's really convenient that the laundry's on the second floor." And she's like, "Are you kidding me? Like, you've ever done laundry in our house? Like, what do you care?" So yeah, it does definitely, you get to see what the dynamic is behind the marriage.
Can I just add to that point?
Yeah.
I have never not done laundry once in my
I want to be clear. You have never not done laundry. It's a double negative. You do not know how to do laundry?
No.
Oh my goodness. We're going to have, Dushan's just shaking his head. Emily is listening to this
Don't
being
play
like,
that part for sure. Emily.
For sure. Are you kidding me? It's going to make the YouTube reel. There's no question. Well, there you go, guys. I'd love to hear from our viewers and our listeners today. Like, do men and women buy homes differently? Single dudes, are you excited when they show up to buy the house with the pool next door to you? I want to hear all the comments. So thank you everybody for watching. Hopefully this has been fun and informative for you today, and reach out to us. We want to hear what you guys want to talk about. And of course, if there's anything we can do to be of service to you and your married or single male friends, it would be an honor to be of service to you guys. So thanks for watching, everybody, and we will catch up with you again soon.